2022 and 2020, 2021, it was not working in Narok. But now we are using IFMIS and it is working for us. I'm not trying to run away from that. And I agree with you. We have a lot of work to do, and we'll continue to train our officers to make sure that they follow the PFM Act as outlined by all the laws in Kenya.
So, Senator, I want to propose, and let me just listen to my proposal.
Because my name was mentioned.
No. That's why I stopped the governor from that trajectory. Let me
separate fact from fiction.
Let me propose, because the second issue is related, so that we can make progress. And Governor, you will desist from direct responses, process everything through the chair, so that we don't have this situation where people have to respond. But Senator Ledama, let me allow you to say what was on your mind.
I will table to this committee facts, so that we can separate fact from fiction, on how funds have been diverted from payments, where the control of budget herself has engaged Narok County, and the explanation given by Narok County leaves a lot to be desired, because they requisition money twice using the same cash requisition schedule. So when the governor alleges that fabricating issues, that the control of budget is not allowing you to change, they have held several meetings there, and they have committed, and I've got documentation because I'm the Senator of Narok. So I'm privy to that information. So I think it's a bit wrong, and I think to be able to separate facts from fiction, I will table to this committee, let the governor table whatever information he has, and then we separate the two.
Thank you, Senator. We shall be guided by you as a senator who exercises an oversight mandate, not just on Narok, but on the 47 county governments. I think when that comes before us, we'll have to put the governor to his defense. The next issue, again, is variances. Auditor General.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We are in paragraph 2. Unsupported adjustments. During the year under review, management continues to revise the financial statements from the original draft financial statements, culminating into the final financial statements. However, the original draft and the final financial statements exhibited a number of items were amended which are at variance with the original financial statement submitted for audit as summarized below. Below there is a description that was the expenditure items, the figures as by the original financial statement submitted on 30th September, then the final amended financial statement figures, then the last column is on variance. However, the adjustments or movements between the sets of financial statements were not supported by journal vouchers and the necessary documentary evidence. Consequently, the accuracy and the completeness of the financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2021 could not be confirmed. Chair.
Okay, Governor, your response.
Honorable Chair, the audit process was started before preparation of financial statement was completed, and this necessitated the use of indicative draft financial statement by the auditor as the process of their preparation continued. Amendment to the draft financial statement were made to ensure that the final reports were more accurate, and this was done as the audit process was ongoing. Journal vouchers for the adjustment made to the financial statement were later presented to the auditor for review. And Honorable Chair, when you look at adjustment journal in voucher Appendix 2, you realize that we have done that.
Auditor General, you have looked at that JV and the response. What's your take?
Chair, the JVs were just given as a bulk sum, bulk figures. We were not able to have the individual transactions and how they were moving from one figure to another. So maybe we still request to be given details of individual transactions so that we are able to understand the transfers.
Now, let's address the issue of revision of financial statements during the audit. Now, tell us, what is the accounting practice?
Chair, one thing is that the accounting period ends on 30th June.
Yes.
They are supposed to clear all the ledgers and pass all the journals in the next 2 weeks after 30th June. Then from there, they are supposed to prepare the financial statements. So by 30th September, that is 3 months after the end of the accounting period, they are supposed to have fully prepared the financial statements and submit them for audit on 30th of September latest. Then from there, we are supposed to pick up the audit, which also takes 3 months between 1st of October and 31st of December.
Now, what we have here, are they the original financial statements or the amended financial statements? What was tabled in Parliament?
What was tabled in Parliament is the amended financial statements, the final.
So that's the basis of audit?
Yes.
The amended financial statements are as at what date? Because I think there's a county we dealt with where we saw that the amended financial statements were 9 months after the close of the financial year. So we want to see, when did they amend these financial statements?
The Chair, the copy that is signed and which was submitted to Parliament was received in the Office of the Auditor General on 6th of April 2022.
6th of
April. 6th of April 2022, and it is there in the second page after the audit report. There's a stamp next to
6th of April.
6th of April.
And so, ideally, they should have been prepared on 30th September 2021.
Yes, yes, Chair.
30th September 2021. So you did the audit in April 2022, in April?
No, Chair. The audit started earlier, but as we were doing the audit, I'm not sure when the exact date, but usually the audit starts in around February, January or February. As we were doing the audit, they were still bringing amended copies of the financial statements. So by the end, when we were finishing the audit in April, this is when we received the final copy, or the final amended copy, which was the Auditor General now signed in June.
And so your report is on the amended financial statements.
Yes.
So why are you taking us back to the draft which you did not audit?
You see, when we started the audit, we started with what was submitted. But as we were doing the audit, they were bringing in the amended copies. They say that they discarded the first one. Now we have made some amendments. This is the new copy. And as the series we go, even after giving the management letter, they give another amended copy. Even after the draft, when we issue them the draft, they brought another amended copy. That's now after the draft. That's when they brought the final copy in April 2022.
So even to go to your table, your row 1 and row 2, the net effect is 0, isn't it? Because it's positive 141 and negative 141.
Yes, it is, but we also need to know, to have the basic details. Why are you moving this amount from one vote to another?
Is it a misclassification?
Sometimes it's...
Because this is a receipt. This is not an expenditure. It's a receipt.
It's a receipt. Sometimes it's...
So what's the problem here? Is there a loss of public funds, or this is just a bookkeeping misclassification?
It is
one and two. Because the net effect is 0. So help us understand whether that was a symptom of loss of funds or just a matter of misclassification, because these are donor funds and transfers from other government entities, and at the end of the day, it all totals to 829 million, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Chair, that is true. And also what maybe just a correction is those items are both revenue and expenditure. Because there's...
no, I'm talking about the first two.
Oh, the first two is the revenue. But sometimes you find that it can be a case of budget. When you are
Henry, the people of Narok farmers following this conversation, are we dealing with an accounting problem, or are we dealing with theft of 141 million?
Accounting.
Let's frame it appropriately so that if it's accounting, we deal with it as an accounting issue. If it's theft, we say it is theft.
This is accounting.
So this is accounting.
Yes.
So it goes back to the competence of the accountants within the establishment. If you go to the third row, on generated receipts, I would be worried if it dropped between the draft and the final. But it has gone up by 6.9 million. If it should have dropped, I would have been very concerned. That would have been indicative of theft. But in this case, it has gone up. Remember, we still have, and I must bring this at this point, that this audit never queried the county on generated receipts of 625. I think this is the only time you have raised an issue on it, and also on the issue of business permits. So, in your view, what is the problem here on the row on the column on county on generated receipts?
The problem here, first, as I said, the overall problem is accounting. When every transaction is taking place, they is supposed to be recorded and then reviewed and then approved for posting. So this is an indication that some of these revenues are sometimes posted to wrong accounts, not the particular accounts.
Senator Sifuna, as a senator for Nairobi, could you make sure there is law and order around Parliament? Okay, honourable members, I just wanted us to understand what the problem here is, but let me allow members to intervene. Senator Mariam Omar.
Chair, I see it differently because as much as we say it's a accounting issue of journal entries, there is also a query the auditors highlighted, that is a necessary documentary evidence. What does that mean, auditor? Do you think that you have not received the supporting document on that ground? Because I understand audit, if you first started, you first come to, there is entry meeting with the financial statement which has been submitted 30th of June. And on that ground, you do an amendment. The amendments is on journals and on supporting document on the ground. So maybe the auditor can, if it is on journals of supporting documents, or you have not seen the substantive
Clerk, can you direct the Sergeant at Arms to make sure that that disruption is kept at a minimal? I think it's quite insensitive for them to be doing that while this is proceeding. Senator Mariam, you had concluded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can write on.
Senator Ledam?
Yeah, I think the query that Senator Mariam is asking is similar to the previous query, where documents are not provided for to be able to support the audit query. And I think these are issues which are raised during the management letter, where the auditor is asking, where are these journal vouchers? Where are the documentation to support this? Maybe there's no money loss, but where is the documentation? Audit is a process. So if the governor can tell us why these documents are not provided for, it would help us be able to move forward and go to the next query.
Chair,
Senator Cherokee.
through you to the governor, Section 62 Public Audit Act is very clear that any given time during audit process, you must provide documentation. Governor, why did it take almost now? You have taken office maybe 1.5 to 2 years. Why is this documentation from that financial year under review up to now has not been provided? Number one. Number two, AG, you are aware we are proposing to shorten the audit period to 2 months to allow the efficiency and efficacy of doing the audit at that. This issue of this one, you will just make a comment on reduction of time. Finally, Governor, on the third point is when you look at this provision of financial statements and what have you been able yourself or CCM Finance and your people have a sitting with the Office of the Auditor General through entry, exit meeting, management meeting, and be aware and seized of the matter? Especially yourself, I know you can delegate to CCM Finance, but especially yourself, have you had an opportunity of sitting with the Office of the Auditor to understand as the CEO the audit process? Say that, you know, some of these things, Governor, are being brought up during the management letter before the final report is being drafted or being done by the Office of Debt. Those are my 3 issues, Chair.
Okay, we get Senator Mariam, you still have a query?
Chair, yes.
Okay.
On that table, the last column of other grants and payments, there is a variance of 212 million, which the journal is not there, because if you go to Appendix 2, it will not answer that one.
Okay. There are questions to the auditor and questions to the county. Auditor General.
Chair. Thank you, Chair. Before the director comes in to make his final comments, I want to make a comment on what our Honorable Senator had said. Mariam. Yes, Chair, these are adjustments which were done by management, and these adjustments will be done on several levels. One, when we raise what we call audit queries, the client will rush to make adjustments to the financial statements. After the exit meeting, and that is after the audit is completed, the client will want to make adjustments when they are responding to what we call a management letter. A management letter is a document that we write to the client documenting all the issues that we have come across during the audit. And finally, the client also has an opportunity to make adjustments to the financial statement once they are responding to the proposed draft report. But Chair, here we are dealing with the cash accounting. And if you can remember, when we were dealing with the county of Nandi, what came out clearly is that when you are doing adjustments, you are adjusting the financial statement. Those adjustments must represent movement of cash, unlike when you are doing accrual. So it becomes very difficult for the management to make adjustments, and that is why most of these adjustments are not supported. Because, one, any adjustment that you do through making journals must be supported by evidence. And this is what is lacking, and this is what has not been given to the auditor. So that's the comment I wanted to make before the director makes his final comment. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, let me write on that.
Senator Mariam.
Is it, auditor, is it now, let's talk of, is it accounting issue or there is misuse of misappropriation of money here?
Chair, to answer the Honorable Senator, it may go beyond the accounting issue, because if you are making adjustments which are not supported, and we are talking about cash accounting, any adjustments is supposed to present movement of cash. So it goes beyond just an accounting issue. Thank you, Chair.
Governor? Henry, you want to say something?
I wanted to say something. Senator had asked on the basis of reducing the reporting period from 3 months to 2 months. That will be good for audit, so that we are able to meet the deadlines. Because the accountants are there or working in the entity for the whole year. They are given 3 months to prepare the financial statements, which is one statement for an entity. But the auditors, we audit around 2,000 entities, and we are only given 2 months, that's October, November, December, to report. I think giving us an extra 1 month will enable us to meet the deadlines.
Governor?
Chair, the senator from Nandi was asking whether we normally get a chance to sit down with the Auditor General. Indeed, we have had a chance to sit down before they started this last year 2022-2023 audit. So we had a chance to go through and really reflecting on what has been happening before we came in. And I can tell you that you'll see that going forward, things will be different because we have learned a lot. And now personally I've taken initiative just to kind of understand what is it that they are lacking. But sometimes you give your CC Finance or your CEOs to go through this document, but I have made it an habit that before they finalize, at least I see what exactly have they presented to the auditor, so that should the auditors have a query, then I can be able to intervene at that particular time. Let me give the CS to answer the last part that through the chair, sir. Through the chair.
Honorable Chair. Just on a point of order, Chair, where is the County Secretary answering? These are matters finance. You have your CC Financier. So if any question, it should be answered by the CC Finance. Chair, I object to that.
Chair, and coincidentally, the CCM Finance was silent throughout the last time, and we were discussing responsibilities on accounting officer. County Secretary is not an accounting officer. The accounting officer is CCM Finance.
I will give directions that when it comes to issues of fiduciary responsibility,
yes,
the persons who bear fiduciary responsibility in this case, the CC Finance, the Chief Officer Finance, the Directors of Accounting, Head of Treasury, etc., and the Chief Executive Officer. The mandate of the County Secretary is well spelled out. He is a head of the County Public Service, and if we've got issues to do with legal compliance, HR, County Public Service, compensation of employees, I think he will come in. So I don't think that it's a question that is beyond the ability of the CC Finance to respond to.
And actually, Chair,
Most obliged, Chair. Let the CC Finance answer that question.
Actually, even the County Secretary should not handle issues to do with the legal compliance. They should be having the county attorney with them.
yes.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. So CC Finance?
Chairman, thank you. Let me answer the last part. The issue in question here, Chairman, is the issue of documentation, which were the journal vouchers, which we had given to the auditor for review, and on this matter. And I believe that if the committee wants it to be tabled, we can still be able to do that for purposes of clarity.
The county executive has not addressed the issue raised by the Auditor General here. Again, just like in the first issue, you have given a story. Governor, let me demonstrate to you. Look at that row on other grants and payments. Other grants and payments. What is the variance there? 212 million.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What you ought to tell the Senate that the increase of 212 million is attributed to XYZ. You don't just tell us stories about JVs. And I've taken the trouble to go to your notes under other grants and payments. I'm seeing an entry of RMLF of 212 million, 248,476. If a fisherman from Homa Bay can see that, why can't the governor of Narok and the accounting officers from Narok tell the Senate that that variance of 212 million is a result of RMLF? Or that's what we expect, not just a story and a one-page journal. And I think, Governor, maybe this could be the first time you're interacting with this committee, but that is a level of diligence that we expect in terms of response, because these members, these guys, they read whatever is brought here. Now, Auditor General, really, even if you raise this, and I don't get back to the conversation we had earlier. This audit measured on minors. This audit measured on minors. Because this particular matter, the way it has been raised, even me looking at the financial statements, I can see where the justification lies. This audit, you guys decided to focus on minor issues and not the substantive issues. But it does not take away the responsibility of the county executive from responding. And your response, really, Governor, you should have responded row by row and say that the 141 million on donor funds released through Exchequer Pakara perhaps was a misclassification of an item. And I think the Auditor General would have been satisfied with that. Patrick, am I saying, yes, am I making sense? Is Chair, that what is expected?
Chair, you are putting correctly, and if I can add one word. The response by CC Finance, he has said he has given the auditors the general vouchers. Maybe he can demonstrate on this document before Senate where those vouchers are so that because we don't have them out.
Yeah, because, so now tell us, CC, your first row, can you explain that variance of 141 million without telling us there is a JV?
Yes, Chairman.
Yes, what is it attributable to?
The 141 variance is actually the Kenya Devolution Support Program money.
Where is that in your management response?
That we had taken to transfer from other government entities.
Where do we see it, in the JV or in the evidence that you have brought to the Senate?
You see it?
Chair. Is it there?
You see it?
That is the explanation the Auditor General required before you coming to the Senate. We would have already ticked off this matter and proceeded.
Chair.
Senator Onyonka.
Governor Ntutu, you know we highly respect you. I'm actually completely heartbroken. Your team doesn't have the capacity to help you. That is the conclusion I've reached. I can't have an explanation why you are asked to provide documentation on money that is even donor funded, and your people are not able to give these gentlemen documents. What, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what do I do? How do I help your team? It's you know, these are the things that make us look at devolution and what governors are doing, and we know most of you are busy, but I can tell you, this guy is not helping you. All these people are not helping you.
Chair, just to write, Chair, on what Senator Onyonka, even on donor-funded, Governor, the PMF allows you to have a special purpose account. So to account for it is very easy because it is well structured. And I saw the other day in State House you are receiving more than 46 billion to support through the World Bank donated funds. So because since you have a special purpose, unless you are saying on these donor grants and others that were given to Narok County government, that were given through the county government did not have a special purpose account, because every donor funded or money that is given through World Bank through the projects must have a special purpose account. And I think Nandi at some point in the last financial year, Chair, the year under review, there were issues where they had taken money that were brought by World Bank to fixed account, then they earn interest. So unless now the reason maybe, Governor, you don't want to give documents to AAG is because the money was put in fixed account to generate interest who no one knows. It becomes easy unless the CCM Finance can tell us whether the initial of this donor funded, it was in special purpose account, so that we are sure it was not put in a fixed account to generate interest where that interest cannot be accounted for. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, and just as a response to that, the reason I'm frustrated is that these matters have come all the way to Nairobi as audit queries, and you go through the financial statements, you realize that the solutions are there. So it's either a failure of the persons who are custodians of public funds then, or a problem with the manner in which the OAG approached this. Because you see, what we expect is what you have said orally is what should have been written here, not telling the governor to read a journal voucher. The first row you have said is KDSP, and you can clearly see it has affected the second row. So it was misclassification of KDSP, isn't it? If you go to the third, fourth, the fifth row, the 212 million road maintenance levy fund. So why can't you just explain that instead of confusing us with journal vouchers? Governor, next time you're appearing before this Senate, please ask questions with regards to these responses before they come here, and ensure your team sits with the Office of the Auditor General before they come here. Because the next issue relates to the 212 million, the one for RMLF. So I want to request members to go to issue number 3 and see how that matter was dealt with. Auditor General, read your finding.
Thank you, Chair. Paragraph number 3, unsupported road maintenance levy fund. The statement of receipts and payments reflect an amount of 354,093,123 in respect of transfers from other government entities, which, as disclosed in Note 3 to the financial statements, include an amount of 212,200,000. However, the cash book and the bank statement presented for audit reflected a balance of 170,221,832, leading to an reconciled variance of 42,026,644. Further, review of the record revealed that during the year under review, an amount of 231,702,137 was paid to road contractors, but the expenditure has not been disclosed in the financial statements. In the circumstances, the completeness and accuracy of the road maintenance levy fund receipts of Kenya shillings 212,248,476 and the expenditure of 231,702,137 for the year ended 30th June 2021 could not be confirmed. Chair.
Governor, your response?
Honorable road maintenance levy funds of Kenya shilling 1 for the Kenya shilling 56, 124, 238 and 25 cents, and 156, 124, 238, 25 cents respectively. The same was disclosed as transfer to the county government in Note 3 to the financial settlement, and to the SPA in Note 15, that is the special purpose account. However, there was disbursement of 114,097,594 relating to the previous year, which is 2019-2020, which was received in July 2020. The transfer of 170,221,832, which the auditor is highlighting, was a combination of 114,097,594 and 56,124,238 and 25 cents, which covered tranches of the financial year between 2019-2020 and financial year 2020-2021. The payment relating to the previous years had been reported in the respective years. Thus, only expenditure for the year 2020-2021 was reported in the year under review, which is 231,702,137 was a payment made for the previous year. So I think there is a mixture of the two financial years.
Excuse me, Chair. Excuse me, Chair. Governor, what question were you asked?
Exactly.
And if you notice, go to page 6 the second paragraph, the auditor says, review of the record reveals that during this year under review, an amount of 231 was paid to the road contractors, but the expenditure has not been disclosed in financial statements. We are not asking you the money, where it came from, what it did. No, we're just saying, and
Chair.
I think what we should have done first is to put the question to the auditor. The auditor, what is you had gone through this, you have looked at
Chair,
the bank statements.
Chair, even before you go to the auditor, if the governor is not answering the question, why can't we first of all get clear direction as to why he's not answering that question?
I think
we'll go to the auditor, yes.
Yes.
What will the auditor help us in this matter? It's a matter that the auditor has already raised this issue. He expects to be answered.
The auditor has a very small role in this. It's just to tell us they have reviewed, because there's an appendix 3, which we expect the auditor to have looked at, just to tell us whether you have looked at appendix 3, what is the content, how does it deal with the question, and then we come back to the senators.
Thank you, Chair. I've gone through the appendix 3. The appendix 3 is a summary of the road maintenance levy account, which starts with an opening balance of 114 million, which was the opening balance for the beginning of the year. Then they received the two tranches, like management have responded, of 56 million and 156 million. That is the total money that was there available under the road maintenance levy for that year. Then subsequent to that, that schedule, the list of payments which were made out of this RMF account, and we have gone through the documents for all of them to the total of 326 million. So the crossing balance of that account agrees with 214 million that was there at the crossing of the road maintenance levy.
Have you traced the 231 million that you queried? Because you queried 231 million. But you're saying the expenditure there was 326 million.
We have verified the 326 million that has been provided here as the correct payment, and not the one we referred in the audit report.
So the correct payment is 326 million, 326. And not 231 million as per your report?
Yes.
Okay, senators?
I think I'm at loss, because the intervention by Senator Nyonka is similar to what I wanted to request to be responded to. Number one, can we get a response to the variance which is not reconciled for the 42 million? And then number two, the 231 that was not that was paid to the contractors, but the expenditure had not been disclosed. Can we deal with that issue as well? And then number three, I think if I add the two trenches bring into the figure of 212 to 48, the 156 and the 156. Now, what I wanted to hear from the auditors first was that the 212, if you add it with the opening balance, does it give you the figure of 354? Does it? It doesn't. Okay, so where is that variance as well? And how do you deal with that? Auditors, before the governor responds to the other query. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes.
Okay. My question is very simple. I've added the 56 million and the 156, that gives you the 212.
Yes.
Okay? The money that they received. But you had indicated that there was an opening balance in the same account. Yet there is a payment of 231,702, 137 that has not been disclosed in the financial statement. How do you reconcile those two? And number three, the 42 million. Have you been given documentation to reconcile that variance?
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I just want to make a clarification. When you look at that schedule, for 114 million is the money they received in July for 2020. But the opening balance up there, it's 259,644. That was the opening balance. But now they added for 140. To not concentrate on the 42. What they did is that they made the reconciliation for the other account. For the other account, that is the opening balance, plus 114, plus 56, plus the 156, which now brings it to 263. The 263. Then from the 263, 373. It brings it to 373. Then from there they have listed the payments, which we had said that they had not disclosed. They have now listed the all payments. Which now brings it to 326.
I'm trying to make sense of the response by the governor, which is not making sense.
Okay.
And I'm looking at what you're saying here. The governor is saying that he received 2 trenches, 56 and 156.
Yes.
That makes it 212.
212.
Okay? What was the opening balance before the 212 was received? Was it 0? Or what was the balance brought forward? Was there any?
Yes, there was.
Okay, so how much was that? That's number one. Number two, you've raised a query about the 42 million, that they have not done the reconciliation. Now that they have done the reconciliation of the entire account, has that been taken care of?
Yes.
Has that been fixed?
Yes.
So that's what you need to answer.
It has been fixed.
And then number three is the issue of the 231 that was not disclosed in the financial statement. How do we treat that now?
They have provided a payment schedule that adds up to 326. 320, is it 326? I'm not 270. To 371, 903. Now that is even more than what we had asked.
Governor, if these management responses were not signed by you, I'll give you an question, because I've just been asking myself, who compiled these written responses? And I've gone to the end, I can see they've been signed by Patrick Olentutu. So there's nobody to blame but you. Your responses are not addressing the issues. You have seen that in the previous matter, where we were asking you to be specific on row by row. Here again, there are numbers that have been cited. And what you need to do, because you see, the Auditor General explains that from the analysis, they have a good picture about the accuracy and completeness of that expenditure. But your response does not bring it out. And that's why you're having a problem with the senators. And you see, we are not going to say that now we agree with the Auditor General. It's your written response that will go on record. And it needs to make sense. It needs to deal with every figure that has been cited, because the auditor is not your advocate. The auditor is an independent constitutional body. So I thought that you had delegated this job of compiling responses, but I can see your signature there. I think as someone who has parliamentary experience and executive experience, we are going to demand more from you. The written response is all over the place. I wish it was as structured as what the Auditor General has said. That notwithstanding, Auditor General, do you still have a query on the completeness and accuracy of RMLF receipts? Do you still have a problem on the receipts and the expenditure?
Chair, just before the director comes in, and I can see the frustration. We don't have a reconciliation for the 42 million, which was in our report. Two, That evidence provided under appendix, which is appendix 3, is actually a printout of the account.
Yes.
Not a reconciliation. So the audit query still is not answered. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Cherokee.
Chair, in fact, I agree with you that we have similar frustration because the audit query is asking somebody else, the governor is giving us a different answer. Because I have looked at appendix, the one that governor has referred to, that's appendix 3, there is nothing much that is disclosing. Because looking at the carried forward, that is money that is carried forward in that special purpose account, closing balance was 214 million. I think they expended 371 million. So in fact, the further that the governor should have done is to provide us a list of schedule of payment of road contractors and what they did. And I think these are not a very hard things because we know how special purpose account operates. So the question, the frustration we are getting is that governor is giving us a different mitigating, because governor, you are having a second bite cherry to the Senate. You are given opportunity to try and mitigate what the auditor has raised, but you are giving us a totally different answer to what the issues were being raised. Because one, an amount of 231 million to road contractors would have expected a payment schedule to prove that 231 million was paid in terms of, but now giving us withholding tax that should have been, this provision should have been an additional information if you were giving it to maybe KRA or on the aspect of title reduction. So, Chairman, I think this question has not been sufficiently answered, and all other queries that the governor has tried to answer, they don't answer totally. There is no question that has been answered since we had this conversation. I thank you.
Auditor General, when you say that the cash book and bank statements presented for audit had a balance of 170 million, you still maintain that position? So that we deal with this 42 million. We have seen that the 212 million coming in. Is it still your position that the bank statements reflected a balance of 170 million?
Chair, through you, please don't miss the point that OAG also said that the list you have here, this is just a printout for RNLF. It has nothing to do with the legitimate amount being reflected on the audited books.
And that's why I'm asking the auditor the question, because they must be having a copy of the bank statements that was presented for audit review. What was the balance in that statement?
That balance as by 30th June, as at by 30th June was 170. But when you look at this schedule, they were around. That's why the figure has changed.
So do you cast any doubt on the changes to that figure?
No, because of they were allowed to spend beyond 30th June.
Meaning that the 42 million you have cited here,
yeah.
Then because it's cash accounting, but we know the treasury sometimes opens a window.
They have windows.
So when the window was opened, there were some receipts.
They received that 114.
Wait a second, Chair. No, that's not accurate. Because if that's indeed the case, even if they allowed a 2-week window, by the time this audit was carried out, that issue would have been reflected. And also, since it's a cash accounting, it only accounts to up to June 30th. And if there's a period where there are certain payments on IFMIS, they will only go up to July 15th. And that will be allowed to be adjusted in the financial statements. So, Mr. Chairman, the issue is very simple here. This query has not been responded to. We have not been given evidence on the reconciliation of the 42 million. That has got to be given to us. That's number one. Number two, the issue of the 231, which was paid road contractors, that has not been disclosed in the financial statements, need to be dealt with so that we understand how to proceed with those two issues. Because this issue where the auditor is saying now that they are allowed to spend after June 30th, you are limited to a cash counting. So you are only limited to up to June 30th. Yeah, so you cannot try to justify that at all. Because we will be now delving into a next financial year. Yeah.
Now, Auditor, my bigger concern is on the expenditure. You are saying that appendix has expenditure entries. Was that expenditure reflected in the financial statements?
Yes, it was.
At what point, if at the time of audit you had said it was not disclosed in the financial statements? You have said 231 was paid but not disclosed in the financial statements. If that was true, that would be criminal.
No, it was because when they received money from road maintenance levy, they included that account. But when they make the payments, it now goes to the respective votes. Like if it is construction of roads, it will now to in the acquisition of assets. Then it will be there an account for construction of roads under road maintenance levy fund.
So was it 231 or 326?
It's 326.
It's 326.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think we are having problems with this finding because the Auditor General is also shifting the goalposts. Because whereas the Auditor General had queried 231, he is now saying that actually the expenditure was 326. Whereas he talked of 170 million as being the balance, he's saying that actually because of the opening of the window, the balance was higher. Now that puts us in a very awkward position as a Senate, and it becomes very difficult to pin the governor against the wall. Senator Cherarki.
We have had such cases. I remember the governor of Marsabit, we had similar challenges of not properly answering questions and also not getting clarity for OAG. And we have seen in the similar audit queries that we have raised earlier in the substantive matters, it doesn't tie up with what we expected. So I don't know, Chair, maybe Governor can tell us, does he want to proceed with the non-satisfactory questions which should have assisted in mitigating the audit query, or we end it here and allow him to do the cleanup of their responses? Because if we proceed the way we are proceeding, question audit 1 has not been satisfactorily answered, audit 2 up to number 3, it has not been answered, because I expected even the OAG to demand the payment schedule of 231. For example, to tell us who these contractors are. Have you seen those documents of 231 million of the one you are querying? Or did you see the contractors' payment schedule and everything? You have seen it?
Yes.
And does it tie up with 231?
No, it does.
It does. So the point, and this appendix, when was it? Appendix 3 on the special purpose account, there is a balance of is it, I had noted that one, is it closing balance was 214 million and I think 371. So as the chair said, it does not tie up with what they had raised earlier. So auditor, what was your audit query? Which amount were you querying? Because as your official report, you are querying 231 million.
Yes, we were. Yeah, we were querying the 231 million that had not been posted.
Yes. But you said Senator Ledame 6 million.
So you're saying the actual expenditure was 326.
Yes, actual expenditure.
And that was captured in the financial statement.
And in your expenditure schedule, 326 million had been spent or 231 million had been spent?
Chair, maybe I may like to clarify.
Yes.
In this schedule, under Schedule 3, there is amount brought forward, which they received for the previous year. Included in that amount, there was also payments in relation to the previous year. That increased it from the figure we are asking of the 231, now it increases it to 376. This 376 includes payments that were made in this year but related to the previous year.
Honorable members, I think the auditor has, the baseline has changed. So this is a matter that we just have to take the advice of the Auditor General. That now he has seen that there are some monies that came from a different period, and that mitigates it, because it will then end up interrogating the OAG rather than interrogating the county executive. And I don't think that's how our proceeding should be.
Chair, just briefly, maybe I might be able to help the committee. If the county government just responded to the specific queries that were raised by the Auditor General, would not be in this quagmire.
Yep.
Where you just reconcile the 42 million. Number two, you provide a schedule of the 231. Because if you go to what you've provided, which is a statement of account, if I stop at June 28, because that's why it stops at, if you go to schedule appendix number 3, Chair, if I may request you to go there. If, appendix 3, if you look through up to item number 201, because that is the one that ends in June 28th, 2021, because the rest starts from 13th of July 2021, which is another financial year. If you are to go, and I assume that the Auditor General carried out the audit up to June 30th, because earlier on we were dealing with the issue of him working on financial statements which were not finalized. Now, if you go to 107, if you go to 28th of June, the figure is 107,664,498. These other figures, a lot of these expenditures were carried out between the 13th and the 16th of July. So, Mr. Chairman, my request would be as follows. Can the county government simply just restrict themselves to answering the specific questions that has been asked? Reconcile the 42 million variants, provide a schedule of 231. Then by doing that, we will then be able to move forward, and have a conclusion on that matter. Because as we speak, now taking into consideration what has been presented to us as appendix number 3, it will simply lead to us opening a huge Pandora's box.
The challenge we have is that the Auditor General has vacated his earlier position, where the 231 he now confirms ought to be 326, and the 42 million he confirms that the variance has now changed because of payments from other financial years that were posted late. Am I getting the right interpretation? Yeah, so we have that problem, Senator Ledam. No, but the 42, yeah, the auditor is now dealing with a different figure. The 231, the auditor is now dealing with 326. Yeah, but it does not take away the fact that the governor still did not deal with the 42 with the issues that were raised, or the 231. But and I don't want to impute improper motive on the side of the auditor. But if you look at when the audit was carried out, when was it carried out? It was carried out in April of 2022. Do you want to tell me by April 2022 the Auditor General would not be, alive to the issues that happened in July 2021? Come on. I mean, it's common sense. So what is there is that we either restrict ourselves to those issues, or we now open a Pandora's box.
And you need a forensic audit.
Yeah. Okay. I think we need to make progress. Governor, please take note, and I think it will get to a point of reprimand if we proceed and find that you are not dealing with issues, you are dodging issues. And if it becomes a regular pattern, we might then just say that you go back and reorganize your responses so that you are dealing with the specific issues. I want us to proceed to the next one on irregular utilization of receipts and see whether you have dealt with the issues raised by the Auditor General.
An amount of 625,910,783 in respect of count on generated receipts, which include other miscellaneous receipts balance of 49,851,991, which relates to receipts collected from hospital facilities. However, review of bank statements for an account of Rolgorian Sub-County Hospital revealed withdrawals totaling to Kenya shillings 7,693,729 on various dates, which were executed without necessary supporting documents such as payment vouchers, contrary to Section 109(2) of the Public Finance Management Act 2012, which requires that all monies raised or received on behalf of the county government is paid to the county revenue fund account before being spent. In the circumstance, the regularity and the completeness of other miscellaneous receipts balance of amount of Kenya shillings 7,693,729 for the year ended 30th June 2021 will not be confirmed. Chair.
Governor, your response?
Honorable Chair, the county government of Narok enacted the Narok County Health Service Improvement Fund Act, which allows hospitals to spend certain amount of money, which they collect in case of need, so as to allow for uninterrupted delivery of medical services. The hospital is managed by the Health Management Committee, and there is the document supporting the expenditure have been shared with the auditor for review. Honorable Chair, because this is a legal issue, allow me to give my county attorney to explain that act. And we have provided the expenditure schedules and payment of vouchers in Appendix 4.
Chair, before the CEC responds, can I intervene?
Yes.
Governor, have you looked at page 7, what you are reading? Basically what the AOG is saying, and I'm also shocked you're answering the wrong question. He's saying there are no documents. He's not doubting whether that law exists. We all know that law exists. Even in Kisii, we have this thing you people call the Health Service Improvement Fund. We know it was passed. What the statement says is the balance includes 20 million, which relates to receipts collected from hospital facilities. However, review of the bank statements for an account of Lolgorian Sub-County Hospital revealed withdrawals of 7,693,729 on various dates, which was executed without the necessary supporting documents such as payment vouchers, contrary to. That's what he's saying. So, Excellency, just tell me the documents are there, you gave them. If the OAG confirms, we move to something else.
Yes, Chair. When you look at the expenditure schedule, payment of vouchers is there. Senator, focus.
Chair, Senator, let me just intervene. I think OAG, and I have an issue with you on this one, because you've quoted Section 109 of the PFM Act. And trust me, I'm a guru in the PFM Act. The concern is this: during the audit and during the management letter, when you send the management letter, did you raise this query? Because if you did, then we need to look at when this act was ascended to. And if I can see here, it says it was done on when? June 2020. Because I think out of all the questions that have been answered, my colleague, I think this is the only question that has been answered, pointing out, I think opening up now, calling for the legal guy to continue, is just going to mislead everything. I think this is a clear answer. But my only concern is this issue of Section 1092 of the Public Finance Management Act that you quoted. Were you not given this act during the audit process? You were given the act. So if you were given the act, what other business would you have, my friend, to ask about this issue? I'm just curious. Is there anything that you saw a little bit that led a lot to be desired? Because if you are saying that it was spent outside this 109, legal, do you have legal, is legal here? Can you please read for us through the chair, Section 109 of the PFM Act, 1092.
Thank you, Chair. Section 109 of the Public Finance Management Act speaks to the establishment of a county revenue fund for each government. 1092 reads that the county treasury for each county government shall ensure that all money raised or received by or on behalf of the county government is paid into the county revenue fund, except money that A is excluded from payment into that fund because of a provision of this act or any other act of parliament, and is payable into any other county public fund established for a specific purpose. B, may, in accordance with other legislation, this act or county legislation be retained by the county government entity which received it for the purposes of defraying its expenses, or C, is reasonably excluded by an act of parliament as provided in Article 207 of the Constitution. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I think this question has been answered. The only question that has been answered. I think we'll be dwelling into now, we'll be dwelling into the matters of the other committee.
No, I think what the Auditor General cited is justification for the expenditure. Isn't that the case?
No, because they raised 1092.
No, but they could have been the wrong basis, but 7.693 million was withdrawn from the fund, and you're saying there are no supporting documents such as payment vouchers. Now, whether it was from the County Revenue Fund or from the Healthcare Services Improvement Fund, there needs to be justification for the withdrawal. So, the payment vouchers that have been attached here, do they justify the 7.69 million? Do they? There are very many payment vouchers there. Do they justify that expenditure? Because whether they could have withdrawn from the fund, that has now been established because a fund was established. Auditor General?
Chair, maybe I want to bring it to the exactly what withdrawal. What withdrawal? This is the money that was spent at source. It was never banked. When you look at Article 207, all funds received must be banked, such that it's then withdrawn. This money was never banked to this health facility account. It is money that was spent at source. So
out of this schedule, I'm seeing bank charges. How could that have been spent as cash? The second entry on that expenditure return is bank charges.
That's why we are saying, Chair, that this schedule can be the vouchers, but this is not what we were asking. What we're asking is money that was spent before banking. They were withdrawn and spent at source.
But how do you spend bank charges at source?
That's what I'm saying.
It might not be responding to the issue.
It is not responding to the issue.
Okay, so we have a special committee, a committee on special funds, and this report on the Healthcare Improvement Services Fund will go to the Public Investment Committee. Is Lolgorian a level 4 hospital or a level 5? It's a health center, so it does not have separate financial statements. But I think, Senator Redama, in your committee, you will deal with this as part of the special funds. Senator
Chair, I think this question has not been adequately addressed because the accountability of 7.6 million, and you look after the law, there is a small breakdown of financial year 2020-2021 by Lolgorian Sub-County Hospital, which is a dispensary, why would you pay cash laborers cash? I thought, Governor, is everybody in IPPT Narok as at now, because you are paying cash on laborers and wages 493,000. 493,000. There is something very weird, what we call small equipment, around 958,750. There was also what we call outreaches, malaria campaign, 647,000. There was phone calls, mobile service, and telephone service. I don't know what that means, 65,000. These are cards, but when you got the vouchers, Governor, you have attached, you have indicated, and the Senator of Narok should be listening this carefully, because it's about prudent use and resources, is in some of your payments you are saying as attached by requisition. There is no characterization of what you are paying. So you are saying being payment in account as per the attached requisition. That is 3,000 shillings. In some instances, you have indicated that it's small equipment. So I thought, auditor, you need proper description and characterization of a payment. You don't just say as per the requisition, and then down there you write a small equipment, because it will not tell you what that small equipment is. It could be a phone, it could be a microphone. So what are these small equipments are being paid? And then even to as a payment on phone calls and mobile services, 55,000, there is nowhere, Governor, in these vouchers that has been attached from Safaricom or payment of more than 65,000 that was being used. So all this that has been attached, Chair, does not answer or merit the does not account for 7.6 million that was being queried by. I think the issue was not the law. The issue was, one, the completeness and validity of 7.6 million, and number two, and I don't know whether, auditor, you have been able to tabulate this vouchers payment that has been attached. From my own observation, I don't know whether you have it does not come to the total of 7.6 million Kenyan shillings, because I thought the issue was these vouchers must give us the total value, but I have not seen even on the payment, Chair, which we now know that in Lolgorian Hospital for the financial year, they pay their casual laborers through payment vouchers, yet it should be in IPPT as demanded by law. Governor, out of curiosity, how many are these people that you are paying 493,000 in Lolgorian Sub-County Hospital, which is a dispensary as you have in? How many could it be possible? And it's good the county secretary is now, this is his domain, he's here.
Senator,
before the governor answers.
Senator Olekina?
But if
just a minute, Governor. Senator,
no, let him answer first. Let the governor answer first.
Senator Mariam has also been queuing. Maybe just put your question so that the governor can answer.
Chair, mine is the query, which has been highlighted by the auditor, is hospital reviewed withdrawals totaling of 7.6 on various debts, which was executed without unnecessary supporting documents. And here the supporting document which is attached as payment vouchers. My question is, auditors, have you seen those documents? If you are satisfied, is where we can maybe pick from there the query.
And you know, OAG, Senator Aldama, you wanted to say something there?
Now, before the governor answers the question asked by Senator Cheruiyot, Cherargei, sorry.
Yes.
Auditor, just try to explain to me so that I can understand. The reason why earlier on, Mr. Chairman, I was saying this query has been answered adequately is because I know it will be interrogated in another committee thoroughly, looking at the audited financial statements for that fund. That is why I say it was answered the way it was supposed to be answered. But now, because we've opened and we're discussing it, I can ask some question. Auditor, you've indicated that this money has been spent at source without being deposited. into the bank account. Can we please go and read your query together? When you read your query, it reads as follows. It says, however, review of bank statements for an account of Lolgorian Sub-County Hospital revealed withdrawals totaling 7.6 on various dates which were executed without necessary supporting documents. Now, can you withdraw money without, in a bank statement, without having an account in a bank? Can you spend money? You know, it's just a bit confusing. Or what do you consider spending at source? Not bank withdrawals? Because if it's spending at source, you yourself were the one who said that that money had not been deposited into the account. Just clarify that.
Chair, through the chair, what the audit query says is this: the money, when the hospital collects money, they have their account, a collection account, which after they have collected, it's supposed to be transferred to the ROR when then it goes to the CRF. But instead of transferring this money to the ROR, they withdrew it in cash and then came and made payments. Like now, when you look at the first voucher, it says payments in account as attached requisition. There is no attached requisition. This is the supporting we are saying. We have withdrawn money, you have it in cash. Now a requisition. Requisition is not attached. The same these are just the same. No supporting documents are supposed. So we have money in cash. Yes. They are making payments without supporting documents.
There's something wrong with today's issue, because the Auditor General is responding more than the executive. And that's why I said that this audit measured on minor issues. Yes. Out of 10 billion budget of Narok, we are here talking about Lolgorian Sub-County Hospital of 7.6 million. I want to give directions as follows. If the fund was established as per the amendments that we have seen, then the special funds committee should deal with this matter, so that we can go back to the 10 billion that was spent by now in that financial year. Then we proceed to issue number 5.
Chair, fee for bond. As disclosed in note 15 of the financial statements, the statement of receipts and payment reflect the other grants and payments balance of 727,165,800 forgone. It relates to money received from national government for health services and dispersed to health facilities. However, expenditure returns for the funds dispersed to the health facilities were not provided for audit review. In the circumstance, the accuracy and accountability of the health services disbursement user fee forgone expenditure amounting to 20,525,297 for the year ended 30th June 2021 could not be confirmed. Chair.
Honorable Chair, this question is almost the same as number 4, that the health centers and dispensary user fees forgone is a disbursement made from the national government to support specific health facilities in bridging the gap for their operations and maintenance expenses. The objective is to ease the burden of patients and enhance healthcare services to the people at the grassroots. The amount is transferred to the health facilities based on a predetermined schedule of activities. The disbursement is also based on the volume of work, size and capacity of the health facilities. Expenditure returns for the amount transfer were submitted later and presented to the auditor for review. And we have the Appendix 5, disbursement schedule and expenditure returns.
Auditor General, have you looked at the the disbursement schedules and expenditure returns?
Chair, it was not easy to look at this because they are not arranged in any order. Secondly, Chair, remember we had a rules leave. A rules leave attached to this schedule, which was not there in the original statement, and we have not been able to go through it.
So the payment vouchers, the very many payment vouchers, which is probably 100 pages. Were you able to review that?
We were not able to review it because they don't even relate to the schedules provided. So we were not able to match the schedule with
presented during audit. Of course, we will have to hold responsible the person who was supposed to provide this at the time of audit. There is no reason why 100 pages should be coming to the Senate at this point in time. Senator Ledama.
Mr. Chairman, I'm really, really shocked, and my heart bleeds for my people, because if the governor cannot answer a very simple question, that just leads me to conclude that there's a serious competence issue in the account staff. I mean, I don't know whether you've taken time to internalize the response by the governor. I mean, this is a Senate committee, Governor. You don't come and define what disbursements are. Seriously, health centers and dispensaries use a fee for guns are. We know what they are. It's a very simple thing. If you could just account, if you could just give a description of where this money was paid, the Auditor General is very clear on his query. He's saying that user fee for gun amounting to 20,597,000. The amount relates to money received from national government for health services and dispersed to health facilities. However, expenditure returns is from the hospitals for the funds dispersed to the health facilities were not provided for audit review. That's simple. Right. From the health facility saying we received the 20 million, this is what we spent the money for. That's it. This goes back to what we're asking with the control of budget, that when you requisition money now, you send back an expenditure report. So, Mr. Chairman, there is a serious competence issue here. And I think because we cannot be going query by query and none of those issues are answered. Not a single question has been answered to our satisfactory. I am really at a loss of word on what to say when it comes to the issue of competence.
And you know, through the chair, that is the issue I addressed in the first 3 audit queries, because the auditor is querying about expenditure returns. So I didn't expect the schedule of expenses. I would have expected the governor to attach in his appendixes, his annexures, that, for example, if Angata Health Center receive, for example, Kabweria Dispensary, if it means blah 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 109, this disbursement, I would have expected the governor to attach the expenses of 109, because that was what the Auditor General was auditing. The expenditure returns, not the disbursement schedule, because the audit query is direct. The governor might try to be precise in his response, but the audit query that is being queried through you, the chair, was the amount relates to money received from the national government for health services and dispersed to health centers. However, expenditure returns for the funds dispersed to health facilities were not provided for audit review. So the issue was expenditure returns. You have given Mulot Health Center 111,688. What was it spent on? Then now provide the documentation to the auditor. And I think the chair, we have seen in all instances, the biggest challenge with the entity and with the governor is non-provision of documentation contravening the Public Audit Act. That if you do not provide, it's like obstructing the work of the Office of the Auditor General because you are not providing the documentation. So governor should tell us whether there is capacity challenges with departments that are supposed to harness and provide these documentation. I don't want to get to the case where in Garissa there was a case where the floods took away the originals and left the photocopies. We don't want to go into that direction, Chair. So the governor must tell us, is there a problem in provision of documentation? Is it capacity challenges? Is it a problem that is systemic with the narrow county entity?
Chair.
Senator Onyonka.
One simple question. Out of the senior officers that you have in the departments of finance, are there any of them who worked in the previous administration? And what happened by just creating a scenario where we are groping in the dark and looking for things that are not there? Governor, this thing is not yours. Sijui kwa nini unabeba mkia ya mwanaume mwingine. Wewe watuambie kitu mimi sijui, tujue na chairman vile tutafanya. I'm telling you, right now I'm so frustrated, I feel like going away.
Agree. What should the expenditure return look like? Governor, what would you expect the expenditure return for user fee forgone to look like? When the money goes to the facility, is it supposed to go into specific vote heads or it's general support for the facility?
Vote head, Chairman.
Which voted?
For example, they are specific. For example, if it is a wage, you know, the money that we pay for salaries or certain cleaning, people who cleans, they are divided into different categories.
With the facilities fund, with the healthcare services improvement fund, the user fees forgone component, does it go into that fund? So let's take, for example, Olgorian that you have looked at. The user fees forgone component, does it go into the fund? Or it's just an operational, it's something that is managed by the hospital administrator?
It's operational in nature.
So it does not go to the fund?
No.
So how is accountability for it done? How do you know that if you send to Lolgorian, for example, let me use the list you have here. The first hospital is Angata Health Center. You sent 129,000 to Angata Health Center. How do you get visibility of that expenditure?
So normally there is a committee that sits and look at the needs of that particular hospital because they're different in nature.
Yes.
And they come up and they pay with vouchers. That's how we can follow up on what have been paid, and then we collect as evidence of what has been paid.
Do the vouchers come back to the CC Finance?
Yes. They have to account.
Because the vouchers you have here are related to transfer to the institutions, not returns from the institutions. All these vouchers, just flip through. it's transfer of user fee funds to the above institution. So this is not what the Auditor General wanted. Is the return from the facility to on wages, XYZ. Does that exist?
Yes, you know, this one now, the total amount that has been indicated there, now there is a breakdown from the health facilities showing each and every item that has been, how much money has been spent on each item.
No, but when you send to Angata Health Center,
yes,
the committee makes their decisions.
Yes.
They spend. Don't they report back that we spent 129,000 on the following items?
They do. They have to reconcile with how much they have been given.
Yeah. So could you give us, for example, for Angata Health Center, in this pack of documents, where is that return?
Angata. Is that?
Because what we have here are disbursements to the facility.
Yes.
The auditor has no problem with that. The auditor says you have disbursed, now account for it.
We have, but it's not in this file.
So you see, this all this does not address the query. It all does not address the query.
Chair,
Senator Adam,
to make this thing easy, you've asked the governor a simple question. When you release money from the exchequer and you are transferring that money to other health facilities, where does that money go to? Does it go to a fund, or it goes to just to the hospital? And the response by the governor was that it goes to the hospital, not to the fund. If it goes to the fund, there have to be withdrawals. And you say it, the governor also said they are vote heads. So to make it easy, instead of dilly-dallying and wasting so much time on this matter, 7 days, evidence of the expenditure returns, period. Because all that has been presented here in this big volume is gibberish. The auditors did not ask to be given vouchers for payments. They only said, give us the expenditure returns. Not the money that was sent out to show us that you've sent money. No, no, no. Show us how did they spend that money. This is additional information that you're giving us, which might be necessary for us to see how much money is going to each health facility, but it has not been requested for. What has been requested for is very simple: expenditure returns.
So who consolidates the returns within the entity? Is it the CEO of Finance, CEO Health?
Through CEO Health and then to CEO Finance. Because it has to come from the dispensary or the health center.
So I think it raises queries on the utilization of user fees forgone, which has, can you confirm, Governor, that this has been discontinued, the user fees forgone? Is it still available for counties?
What happened is that we have not received lately, you know, the amount.
No, but so it was discontinued because it was
that's what I'm saying.
Some predictable share.
Correct, because when we came in, we haven't received. Remember, we are dealing with a 2020-2021 report.
So I think there was some abuse of some of these conditional grants in counties where money was sent without corresponding returns. Senator Cheraki.
I think, in short, since the governor did not answer this question, it remains unresolved because the issue was on expenditure returns. It has not been answered.
Yeah, I don't think there is...
so it remains just outstanding.
It remains...
Maybe, Chair, you can rule on what the entity or what committee we can take, because even if we go around the audit query, the governor has not given us the expenditure for firewood or for cleaning services or for payment or what have you. I think that should just suffice in terms of accountability. And this one, through the chair, I think in future, they should have attached, even if it is good, yes, there were some expenses like this on the Romosho Health Center, where 106 was given. This should have been additional information attached to the expenditure returns by the governor. It would have been easier that way. But as it looks, this matter, even if the cows come home, we shall not be able to get the answer because the entity is the one with with the expenditure, and COB will tell you they give out requisition, but the payment vouchers are retained with the entity, and they can be remained at that point.
Yeah, if this financing line was still available, we would have made a resolution that we should stop further disbursements until returns are submitted. But now that it has been discontinued, I think we'll be addressing the issue of accountability mechanisms for conditional grants. Most of them, the accountability mechanisms are extremely weak, and some of them conflict with the PFM and procurement laws. So this matter remains unresolved, and I do not want to give more time on this because this is an audit that was conducted way back in 2021. There is no need to open the window. Auditor General, in the event that you'll have found any satisfactory answers in the attached appendices, you'll advise us when we are writing the report. So we proceed to the next matter, and reconciled bank balances.
Chair, paragraph 6, the report and reconciled bank balances.
And I think in the interest of time, on reconciled bank balances, you had given us an update that out of 32 bank accounts, 31 have been provided with the exception of one, which is a county revenue fund. So, Governor, I want us to be quite efficient in the manner in which we proceed. So, unreconciled bank balances, the Auditor General's findings are there. He has updated us that 31 have been provided, but one bank account, which is a county revenue fund, is still outstanding. Can you go straight to your response, Governor?
Through the chair, let me give my CC Finance to answer that question.
Chairman, let me read the responses, then maybe a rider on agreement with you. Pro financial statement cannot be confirmed without accurately stating bank balances, which form part of cash and cash equivalent. Completion and balancing of cash books as at 30th June 2021 was hindered owing to the delay disbursement of funds from the National Treasury for the year ended. Some transactions for the financial year 2020-2021 were undertaken after 30th June 2021. However, when we concluded transactions for the year 2020, bank reconciliations were also prepared and certificates of bank balances produced for audit verification. Copies have been attached with these responses.
Could you point us to the bank statement for the county revenue fund?
And I agree with you, Chairman, that one is missing. County revenue fund is missing.
What percentage does it comprise of your total balances?
Chair, when you look at the financial statement, page 40, county revenue fund is the first one. It is not page number 21. Not number 21, the financial statements. In page 40, the county revenue fund had a balance of 742 million out of the total 1.1 billion. So it's a substantial figure.
So that's 70%. So, Governor, could you tell us why you cannot provide the county revenue fund certificates and the reconciliations for that?
Chair, given the fact that we are dealing with the statement of the year 2020-2021, I asked for time to look for that particular statement because as of yesterday, we couldn't trace it anywhere.
But the certificates are at the bank. Where were you looking for it? If not,
excuse me, Chair. CEC Finance.
It's actually the reconciliation that we don't. We have that, but
there are two things. There are two
reconcile.
things. There's a cash book reconciliations, and then there is a certificate of confirmation of bank balances.
Yes.
So did you provide any of
bank balances? I think we have.
You have
can provide
here.
that.
We can provide.
Where is it?
Provide that. We don't have it here.
Chair.
If it's not here, then it's not available.
Excellency Governor, see, what are your qualifications?
I have a degree in accounting.
A degree?
Yes.
You are not a CPA?
No.
Not even an FCI, whatever, you... Because the impression I'm getting is you are not serving your governor completely. I mean, we come here, you see, Governor Tutu, you understand, we work together, you understand how it is. This man is sitting here, and what we need is such a simple document which he needs to give the Auditor General, so that this matter we move from it, because once there's validation and proof, then we do everything, and then he's just talking like there's nothing we are doing here. I am so disappointed in you.
Governor, this is a really simple matter. The bank confirmation certificates, you write to the bank, and they give them to you as at the date you have requested. The reconciliation is a different matter. If it was not done, then it was not done.
Chair, this was just an oversight. We thought we had it here, but looking at the volumes of papers we have, we don't have that, but we have it.
You have reconciliation for the county revenue fund?
Yes. Chairman, is a reconciliation that we do not have, but the statements is what we apologize for not putting it, but we can be able to bring.
So how are the proper financial statements prepared? Because that is the first, that's a preamble to your response. If you can't find it, how then we agree with the Auditor General that the financial statements, really, I think this is what now gives rise to could not be provided during the time of audit. So are you saying you are going to look for it, or you are going to do it, because you cannot reconcile now? The financial statements have already been done. Auditor General, they cannot do the reconciliation now, isn't it?
Chair, they can do.
They can do.
As long as they get the bank confirmation certificate and they have the cash books, then they can reconcile.
It can still be reconciled.
Only that even if they get a different figure, it cannot now be cannot change the financial statement.
But it can affect subsequent periods.
Yes.
Governor, what's your plan of action?
Chairman, will do our best to do reconciliations. So some of the documents that we tried to look for, and the auditor is aware, we could not be able to get at the time of when we are preparing for this audit. But if given time, we'll still go back to the archives to see whether we can be able to retrieve any.
To note that now you realize where we are, because when you are talking about 2021, they are still looking for documents to be able to do reconciliation. You can now see the subsequent periods and how they are going to be affected by the reconciliation that is going to be undertaken. And that's why we also have adverse opinion even for 2022 and 2023. Thank you, Chair.
Senator,
Chair, as this question remains outstanding, just like the rest, there is a strange document, I can't make it out, recurrent 2021, Governor, Appendix 6. There is a strange document that it cannot, you see it's like January 2021, it is crippled, total payments. What is this document? Just before Narok County CPK recurrent account, just before an even development 2021. Just before, let me get the one before, after this document of KCB. Chair, there is a document that is written recurrent 2021. You can't make out what was happening. I think this was put to mislead the committee because they imagine senators are very busy. They will not read it. In between, there is a document that has been signed, adjusted cash book July 2021, and then there is a document written up there, development 2021, you can only see June 2021. Then some writings that are not legible has been written. Chair, in my own observation, these are documents that they put here to mislead the committee, and the intention not only to mislead the committee, but because they imagine the members, senators are not very keen. So, Governor, what did you mean by this document?
Help me, I'm not yet there. Help me where you're reading.
It is in Appendix 6.
Appendix 6.
In your bundle of documents, almost towards the end, you know, it's not paginated. Just before a document called Adjusted Cash Book or Bank Reconciliation, there are two documents that are not legible. Recurrent 2021. In between, there is a document called a County CPK Recurrent Account. Then there is the same document of Recurrent 2021, Development 2021. This document is not legible. What was the intention? Chair, was this intention to mislead the committee, even from where you are seated? Is this, what is the intention? What did the governor wanted to achieve with such kind of document, Chair?
Governor?
If you can see it, then it is miracle. Because I hope Senator Ledama with reading classes, can you make out that? Maybe, or we use microscope. Yes. Maybe Governor can tell us what did he mean by recurrent 2021 handwritten by your own hand, and then development 2021. And you know, Chair, the PMF Act gives responsibility to accounting officers. I think it is high time that the CCM of Finance must go on oath, because it is the high time the CCM of Finance must go on oath. I know his history when he was in Kajiado. Mr. Speaker, sorry, Mr. Chair, I think it has reached a point that we must make the CCM Finance go on oath, because it cannot be misleading a committee. The governor has been a member of parliament. I can imagine if he was in our own shoes, where such documents are being put to mislead the committee, Chair. And this is not the first document. The one is that you struck out that was introduced as new evidence. Even in a court of law, your county attorney will advise you cannot introduce evidence at the middle of a trial. You don't change the rules at the middle of the game. So this document, Chair, is very unfortunate.
Is to take responsibility, it must be the governor. Yes. He's the one who swore the oath. And under the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, yes, it is an offence to utter a false. Yes.
And also, Chair, also CCM Finance must not escape unscathed, because the CEO will take the ultimate responsibility. But also the CCM Finance and those people who are seated with the governor must also be reprimanded,
functional responsibility,
because they are the ones who are preparing this documentation.
Now, with a view to coming back to this, Governor, my members are frustrated over provision of things that do not relate to the queries. I think the substantive thing here is that 32 bank accounts, 31, the documents have been provided, whether there's an addition of legible and illegible records, but the big concern is the 700 million that is held in the county revenue fund. So that's where the problem is. And from the beginning, you can see the problems, the systemic problems in Narok. From lack of bank reconciliations, lack of IFMIS ledger entries, misclassification of expenditure, and we'll be very ruthless in our recommendations on the persons who are captains of the financial ship during that period. Because this is not acceptable, especially where you have members of a professional body. The lack of bank reconciliation on the county revenue fund, Auditor General, I want you to explain what that means, because that is not just an accounting matter. It's not just an accounting problem. What does it mean if you do not have proper reconciliation on an account holding 742 million? What is the risk?
There's Chair, there's a very serious risk of losing that money. Reconciliation is supposed to ensure that what the figures you are expected to have in the bank account are the exact ones you are having. Otherwise, the bank can even bust debits and you are not aware because you have never reconciled your account. So there is a serious risk of losing county assets.
And EACC, what's your take on that?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, as the auditors put it, it's a big risk. Secondly, it's non-compliance with the laws in terms of the PFM. But in terms of recommendation moving forward, the keyword is in if-miss in that, and you have the reconciliation ready. Thank you, Chair.
So, members, it does not matter how long we query this matter. 742 million, the reconciliation was not done. Kinoti has already pointed out that it's a violation of the PFM, and we should hold the persons who are in office at that time responsible. But for the office that is there now, you have a responsibility to make the necessary adjustments in subsequent financial years. So I think both teams must bear equal weight of the burden.
I think,
Senator
Chairman, both teams must bear the same responsibility. If you read Section 103 and 104 of the PFM Act, Section 103 sets up the Treasury and designate the CC in charge of finance as the head of Treasury. Section 104 of the PFM Act outlines the responsibility of the head of Treasury. And before submitting any document to this House, Mr. Chairman, I hold the view that the CCM Finance should have actually made sure that whatever he is submitting to this committee can be able to withstand the test of this committee. We have gone from query number 1 to now query number 6, and nothing has been answered to their satisfactory. So it questions the competency of the CCM Finance. And Mr. Chairman, if you read Section 104 of the PFM Act, and I'll ask maybe legal to read, I think it's Q or something like that, it talks about the responsibility of the CCM Finance. He's the one who is in charge to make sure that he reports. He reports on a regular basis. He collects all the information from all the people who are under him. See, you know, the CCM Finance is the only person who has got more powers than anybody else. So I hold the view that the current CCM Finance of Narok is incompetent, you know, and unless it is checked, Mr. Chairman, we will continue having these problems over and over again. So I know in the last parliament, we, in the same committee, and I think, Mr. Chairman, I was with you and Senator Chaloke, we caused for certain changes to be made in the same county of Narok, where we moved one CCM from, I think it was health, to somewhere else because of competence issues.
Even point of information, we directed the governor of Kisumu to change his CCMs, and he did the changes after interacting with this committee. If you remember, Chair, when we were in KICC, some appointments were made and others were dropped, Chair. It was because of the incompetency that was being done. So we have done it before.
Because, Chairman, as I conclude,
yeah, please conclude.
If you go to Appendix 6, you'll be shocked. Everything which is presented here is either not signed, not legible, you know, not stamped. Others is just gibberish. You can't really make out what it is. I've tried to wear reading glasses to see, even to try and make sense of anything. Others, bank reconciliation, it's made sure that you can't see anything. And this is not the responsibility of the previous administration, really. It is the responsibility of whoever who is submitting these documents to show that they have gone through. If whatever was left there they could not see, they don't present it. They come before this committee and say, we were not able to find this document. We will need time to go back to the bank and get this information to prepare a reconciliation statement. So, Mr. Chairman, the CCM Finance is completely incompetent. And I think we need to make a determination. Otherwise,
and that is why Senator
members,
the chair.
I think let's look at the time so that we are guided appropriately.
And that is why
Senator Ledama conclude. Let's allow Senator Ledama.
Maybe just to county assembly, the CCM finance of his capacity and ability to deliver. Because if we are not careful in the subsequent review of the years that will come, the same problem will recur and we will not be able to proceed.
You're riding on that, Senator Ledama?
So as I conclude, Mr. Chairman, all these issues, riding from the previous issue that I discussed on the issue of double requisitions, diversion of funds, now to presentation of documents which do not make sense to this committee, all those leads to incompetence, and something has got to be done. And I agree with the committee that in subsequent meetings, the CCM, finance, whoever is going to be there, if it's still the same one, has got to take oath. So that when he takes oath, whatever he answers things that he can be able to say, I know what I'm saying. Because what is being presented here, really, I'm ashamed of being from Narok today.
Senator Mariam Umar.
Chair, mine is on issue of reconciliation. Maybe an auditor can guide us if it is 2022, 2023, such query of reconciliation, if it is there, for 2021 and 2022 also, the two financial years, so that we can conclude that of negligence and maybe incompetency issue.
Auditor General, is it a recurring theme? And as auditor does that to the governor, who in your organization has a responsibility for reconciliation of bank accounts and preparation of cash books? What's the title of that officer?
Accounting financial services.
Now that is another person who is letting you down. There was a director of IFMIS whom you have established is not doing their job. There is now this finance takes ultimate responsibility as head of treasury. But we must also directly point at where the responsibility, they're not doing their work. And I think for us to get out of to ensure that these things are done. Because on IFMIS, we have seen some requests for training, which you have said you need to go beyond that. I also want to hear your undertaking on this issue of bank reconciliations, because it is not optional, it is mandatory. And you have people who are doing it. While you're rescuing flood victims, there's someone in the office who's being employed to do bank reconciliations, but they're not doing it. So, Auditor General, is it recurring?
Yes, Chair. The paragraph on cash and bank appears in 2022 and also in 2023.
In light of that, Governor, what's your commitment to the Senate?
Chair and honorable members, I undertook to re-look at the entire department and really change a number of things that I've also seen here, and particularly on the questions that have not been answered satisfactorily. And going forward, I promise the committee that I'll do the best I can to make sure that this will not happen again.
If you don't take action, it will be your failure as a CEO. And observations, the oversight and that responsibility resides in the county assembly. However, we have also a constitutional duty to point out when we feel that state and public officers in county governments are not doing the right thing. And so, whereas I will not be quick to pass judgment on the conduct of your officers, but I think we'll be sending a recommendation to the House if we find that some of these things we are dealing with are as a result of failure of professionals or failure of officers who are being employed and who are being paid using public funds. that does not take away the fact that 742 million cannot, the accuracy and completeness of the 742 million held in the county revenue fund cannot be ascertained. We proceed to another unsupported expenditure on construction.
Chair, we are back on paragraph number 7, unsupported expenditure on construction. The statement of receipts and payments reflect a balance of Kenya shillings 5,290 in respect of acquisition of assets as disclosed in note 17 to the financial statements.